Um, Discussion on the motion.
So I believe that we have provided enough insight that we want to have this happening, but in order for that to happen, for us to vote on it, need to have a few changes. Dr. Van Wert already said that she would like to do some research and add some information around the salaries, and I already requested Attorney Spurk do some research around getting to the magistrate. So I think that we need more time to add these amendments, and we can table it and then work on it and have a beautiful 3-pass to council.
To be a purist as to Robert's rules, you really don't debate a motion to table, but I took the sense of what you wanted as to a motion to postpone to a date in the future.
Yes.
And as a motion to postpone, that is debated.
Okay.
So we're not tabling it, correct? We're going to postpone it to a date, a future date.
Correct.
I don't have a problem with that. Does
No.
you have a problem with it? No? No. I'll call the roll for, well, before we get in, I would like to say this. If anybody, I would like to get this scheduled as soon as possible, within the next month. And if you have, I want to go on the record, if you have any amendments that you would like to add, please forward them to me.
I would like to go on the record and say what we are asking for is a valid enforcement mechanism. That is a huge component of all 3 people who have commented on this ordinance, is that we don't have a valid enforcement mechanism in place that doesn't put huge financial pressure on the woman coming forward. If we had something in place that said, you know, the city has a fund that's willing to pay the legal fees of these women up to X amount of point, or if we had something in place that took the burden off the women for hiring a lawyer to go in front of the magistrate. It is a scary thing to stand in front of a magistrate by yourself. Our own council solicitor said that most people would be hiring a lawyer for this. This is one of the major problems within this month framework that you're putting out there that we need to have solved.
So if we don't have the funds, if there's no funds available, we strike this down?
No, I'm asking to find a solution. I'm not asking you to come up with money. I'm asking us to find a solution to this problem that doesn't make the woman put out $5 grand for a retainer for a lawyer to get her problem heard. That's why so many of these larger cities that are well staffed with human rights commissions, that's what their purpose is. They are the ones who vet this and do this for free and come up with a ruling so that the woman doesn't have to come up with a $5,000 retainer.
Well, that's a number you're throwing out there. So,
okay, it is a number I'm throwing out there, but lawyers cost money,
right,
and you have to pay for this lawyer before you win the case. So we need to have a way that it doesn't stop the people from coming forward because they don't have money to hire the lawyer. That is a huge gating event here. And the reason why it works in all the big cities that you keep talking about is because they have these human relations commissions all staffed and ready to go and can handle the load. Even if it's just a few women here in Bethlehem, they couldn't handle it. So we need to come up with a mechanism to handle it so that the financial burden of hiring a lawyer doesn't stop this from being a valid ordinance.
So what do you suggest we do if there's no funding available for?
I'm not ready to work out all those solutions right now, Mr. Callahan, but I think that that is the piece that is stopping us from saying that this can be implemented in Bethlehem and have any meaning. It needs to have meaning.
Okay.
Chairman,
go ahead.
If you remember what I asked Mrs. Berg to do, I mentioned that I know it could be included. So if, let's say, just born violates, I'm going to apply for a job and you know, ask me for my previous salary or whatever, I'm going to take just born to the magistrate. And that in that process, I asked, and he said he will research it, okay? So I need to wait until he researches and let us know. If that, it could be included in the fine for just born, that just born will be responsible for paying for my attorney that I have to hire in order to take them to court. So it's something that, you know, he cannot pull out of his pocket. He said he will have to find out. So let's give him some time to find that out. And again, I'll go back to something that Dr. Van Weer mentioned. I think it's very important. I've seen it, I guess it's something that you have not experienced, and I'm not expecting you to, but more and more often I see a lot of private corporations, they don't share. So you can say that they won't ask my salary, but men are still going to be paying a whole lot more than women. Or, people that have been working in there next to each other are getting different salaries because we're not allowed to share that information. In the school district, in the city, everything is written down. We know exactly how much the teacher makes, the secretary makes. Not in the private sector, Mr. Callahan. We don't know. I can have a paralegal next to me doing the exact same work as interpreter or whatever that I'm doing, and I don't have no idea how much he's getting paid or he's getting paid. It's an important piece that could be included in here. That would be great. And I think that we should allow her. She said she will research it. She said she will find out another words in that we could be added. So while Mr. Spurr finds out about the fines, if that could be included, that whichever employer, made that mistake will be responsible for paying for the attorney. We can also add that line, and we can have a really much better and stronger ordinance to pass.
Do we need to, Councilwoman Van Wert had said to table it. Do we need to withdraw that? Does she need to withdraw that? Or?
From the context, it was clear that as a matter of Robert's rules, what she was asking for was a motion to postpone.
Postpone.
And I think we can treat it that way.
All right. Just for the purposes, for the record, I'm going to be voting no against the postponement because I obviously do want to move this forward. Out of all of the, but I'm more than happy to, for the record, to work with all of you. If you have any suggestions, please forward them to me. I'll be more than happy to, I'm willing to accept any amendments right now. I mean, we knew this was coming for a month. We knew what the ordinance was. Both of you were at the first committee meeting, and now we're on to a second and a third. So this is an important ordinance for the women of Bethlehem, for minority women of Bethlehem, and women of color in Bethlehem. And I think it's very important that we get this work done, and that we get something on the books so we can start that 1 year clock ticking. Again, once it is, if it is accepted and voted on in a favorable ruling for the council, again, it's not going to be taking effect for a full year. So I think time is of the matter. And again, out of all the cases in cities that I looked at in states, there was no, I never saw anything about funding for the advocates. So I will do this. I do have some women groups in not only in the Lehigh Valley, but that I will reach out to, and if you don't mind, that are all in favor of this ordinance. If you don't mind, I'm going to direct them to you both. So I just hope that that this is something that we, I think it's important. I really do.
I personally don't need to talk with anybody. I am clear that I want to support this. I just want clarification from Mr. Spurk about the process, and I would love to see the addition of what Dr. Van Weer suggested. I don't need to talk with anybody else. I want to pass this. I like it. I just need to make sure that it's right. Okay. It's not just a Band-Aid that we're going to pass. Oh, now women are going to be, they're not going to say the salary. Yeah, but how about the interpreter that is working next to me is getting paid twice of what I'm getting paid.
I know. Did you? I mean, you both were aware of this meeting for a month, correct?
Mr. Callahan, you could have reached out.
So.
Yes,
and so this is a question that what I asked, and when the addition that I'm asking, I asked him today.
I heard nothing from either one of you.
This was your ordinance that you introduced. Right. I asked you the last time we spoke on the phone to incorporate some changes, and let's talk about it, and I never heard back from you.
You told me if you want in favor of it.
No, as it was written, because I had objections to it.
And I heard nothing. I mean,
Brian, this is your ordinance.
I know.
So the onus is on you to get this right and pass it by committee.
I'm good with it as it is written.
So if you want to respect the woman in the city of Bethlehem, start with your two colleagues right here. please,
Listen.
respect what we're trying to tell you, and
Right.
don't keep on talking down to us,
I'm not
telling us, you didn't call me, you didn't, it's your
Don't reach out to
ordinance,
me.
and we want to pass it. No, you listen to me,
Hold on.
because you are used to speak
Wrong.
on top of us.
No, I'm
And
not-
I am
I'm not-
tired, I am not gonna let you.
I'm letting you
You have to shut up, okay?
Ms. Negron.
Respect us.
Respect goes both ways, okay?
You
All I'm
got
gonna
that
say-
right.
All I'm gonna say is this, okay? Both of you were at the first committee meeting, and you heard the same thing I did as far as the Human Relations Board didn't want to deal with it. So I had to make changes to it. I never heard from any of you. And then in the correspondence went through over a month ago. This meeting was scheduled almost a month ago, and I heard nothing. I'm not the one trying to make the changes. You are. So if you wanted it, you should
You're the one who's
afford
trying to
it.
get the ordinance passed. Please, let's
Right.
not dicker about this
I
anymore.
know.
It is useless energy. I expect that when this ordinance comes back, there will be substantive changes to it in order to not have the same thing happen again.
Right.
There has to be
I
changes
just
in
don't want to
how.
stall tactics. I'm not saying you're doing that, but
Well, then
I
why
just-
bring it up? We want this to have
Well,
meaning.
Because a month, this has been scheduled for a month, we all knew what was on the docket. So someone didn't do their homework for the committee meeting.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking at.
Look in the mirror. Mr. Callahan, this is your
I
ordinance.
have no changes to this.
You knew that we would be sitting here not happy to pass it if you didn't make changes. I told you what
How
those
could I
changes
know?
were.
No, you did not.
On the phone, when you offered to
Doc-
support
Dr.
Olga, I
Miller.
explicitly told you what my
That
problems
whole
were.
conversation lasted about 2 minutes, okay? And in that whole 2 minutes, I was talking about supporting her for president.
I don't find this useful.
I know, but I never heard back from any of you. I never heard back
Chairman,
from
if I can interrupt, please. I don't feel like we're gonna get anywhere. I think it's just going downhill pretty quickly, unfortunately. I feel like we've already pretty much agreed to postpone it and do some more research. So, again, I think it's best if we just let it go and not continue
Well,
to
let's take the vote then.
go
So-
down.
So this is, I don't know who's, at this point, who's, is this Dr. Van Wertz or is this,
Dr. Van Wert.
Dr. Van Wertz to, so again, for the record, I want to move this to full council. We have over a month and a half to come up with anything, and if at full council, we decide that we want to, maybe there's other council members that want to add things also. So that would be my prerogative, but again, I would be voting no to postpone it, just to the fact that I think it's too important for the women of Bethlehem and minority women in the city of Bethlehem to get this on the books. And I think that any future delay is harmful to them, so that's why I'll be voting no against the recommendation to postpone.
Do you want me to call the roll?
Yes, please call the roll.
Okay. Ms. Negron?
I,
Dr. Van Wert?
Aye.
Mr. Callahan?
Nay. So this is now postponed. I will talk with Mr. Rodoni and to schedule a new committee. To the committee members, how much time would you need?
I think 6 weeks is reasonable.
I'm just waiting for Mr. Speck to do his research, because that's what he said. I don't need to do anything, he needs to do it also, whatever long he needs to
Doing some
take.
work.
I'm good with it as is.
Then we're gonna be back where we are again, Brian, so I don't know why you.
Forward, no, listen, I am good with the ordinance as it is. If
And
you
your
have any
committee people are
recommendations,
not.
I know, send them to me. Let's work together. Send any recommendations
There's a
or
fundamental
amendments.
problem here, which is enforcement, putting
Mhm.
too much onus on the women.
Right.
If you can fix that problem, then I'm happy to sit down and look at this ordinance again. So I'm expecting that there will be some
That's your
changes.
opinion, that there's too much onus put on it. No other city has this. This is the same exact ordinance the city of Philadelphia has. There's no, in the ordinance, there's no, nowhere in the ordinance is there any funds available for any type of lawyer fees. This is something that you are making up, quite frankly. I don't know if it's because of your business entity or if it's city council woman Paige Van Wert talking. What is the problem? This is good enough as it's written for other cities.
Brian,
And there's
I
nothing
think-
else in there.
Brian, I think what we had talked about was the other cities have their Human Relation Commission, we don't. So we just maybe, you had mentioned, like maybe we can go back to them and see if that's an option, or talk to the Human Rights Campaign out of DC, or Legal Aid, or like maybe, you know, and I can help you with this, we can see what other avenues are there that the women, or, I mean, this could apply to men and transgender, we're looking at all genders here. What avenues do all genders have if they are violated? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Aside from going to, and if they're going to the magistrate, then we can check with legal aid. Will you be able to help? Or I know a lot of female attorneys that are real advocates for women. Maybe they would be able to do something pro bono. Like there's just some things maybe we can check out.
Yeah.
Does that
Mr.
sound good?
Sure, sure. Mr. Spurk, did you have any suggestions for the solution to this? As far as getting any women that would have a complaint against an employer, as far as, I mean, what would you suggest?
That we leave, because we did move to adjourn, and we moved to continue it, so there's really,
Thank you.
as a matter of Robert's rules, there's nothing
Let's talk
pending
about
right now. Having that vote, I think that having agreed to postpone the meeting.
Okay. Before